This is the talk of Music City real estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
My name is Monte Moore with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and I'm Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
Every week we'll be posting a new episode chock full of Nashville real estate value.
Yes, and you can follow along and subscribe at talkmusiccity.com.
Got a question for us? Ask away at questions@talkmusiccity.com.
Monty, we're back.
Carey Ann, we're back. Jason Hoover is in the house.
Thank
you, Jason.
He is in the house.
I love this guy. He's an amazing broker at Realty One Group in Music City in Franklin, Tennessee. And just how many agents you got here now, man? About 120, 130, something like that?
Yeah, right around that number.
Yeah, that's a serious group of folks that are selling a lot of real estate, but having some challenges, aren't they? That's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, well, how many real estate agents are in Middle Tennessee? There's quite a few, huh?
16,537 last time I counted.
Wow. It seems like he
did a
counts
roll call.
like jelly bean count.
No, that's a whole lot of agents.
That is a lot of real estate
It is a lot of real estate.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, we want to talk about a really important topic today, but let's give a shout out to our amazing sponsor, Music City Removal. They are the #1 junk removal service in Nashville from residential, commercial, and construction. They're experts in ridding you of junk. Their costs include labor and dumping fees without any hidden or added expenses. Whether you need a full clean out or just one item removed, they have you covered.
The Music City Removal team knows the importance of respect and trust while in someone else's home. They understand the inconvenience of junk left behind by previous homeowners and tenants and are determined to provide an affordable and customer-focused junk removal service that puts you first. For a free on-site estimate, just go to musiccityremoval.com. That's musiccityremoval.com.
Yes, Music City Removal, because clutter ain't cute. And lately, some of these people would say appraisals aren't that cute either.
Yeah,
oh my
it's
goodness.
Just unbelievable what's going on in our world out there right now. Guys, this Monday, I talked about this thing called empathy. That we've learning maybe the hard way about empathy, because last week I jumped all through these hoops to try to win a transaction, and it really helped me, and I know, Jason, you live on this with Mindy as well, and I know, Carey Ann, you hear the stories of how much angst goes into buying a home right now. It's just unbelievable. And you think you're making a great offer because you went $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 over the asking price. I mean, and still not getting it and not knowing where you rank and what it would have taken. And it's just, where do we go from here, guys? And then, of course, you don't even dare have it appraised in that process. Where do you go?
Well, such a mental roller coaster, I mean, if you have no place to go and you're putting all your eggs in that basket, and possibly there's not another house that looks or feels or has the amenities, that meets your needs and wants, it gets scary out there.
I'm living with a woman right now that really wants this particular house. Okay. She really wants it. I get it. I mean, I talk about empathy for the guys out there, or anybody who's trying right now to buy something, and the one that we chose is a for sale by owner, and so there's no third party to deal with them, and I'm trying not to be pushy, and they're, it's exhausting. I mean, talk about frustrating. And here we're putting our home on the market, of course, and we made this offer that's, it's I think it's $54,000 over asking price. By the time you waive the commission and pay the title insurance and buy it as is, I'm not even offering to do a home inspection. I mean, I'm taking every risk out of it. No appraisal, no home inspection. It's not contingent upon anything, except my lender doing
there you go, yeah.
Which I hope she can. No, I know. That's already covered.
You the Death Star, man.
Sean is already. No, we'll make up the difference. I know it's not going to appraise. I know that. Hell, I know that.
But that's the point I think we're trying to make is a lot of real estate agents are calling, let me rephrase, they can't call me, but basically just in conversation, they're like, no, I'm not going to get that price. Like there's no way that value is going to be there. And why are they upset with me? Right. And then why are agents upset with lenders? Because the appraiser did an appraise, right?
You don't control that? I thought you controlled what appraisers come up with.
But again, I do think, in the market when values were at least stable, people were coming in short. And I can see the concern and frustration because you're like, why didn't you use that comp when you could have used this comp, and et cetera, et cetera. Now we say, no worries, and a very pleasant smile, just send me stronger comps and I'm more than welcome and happy to do a rebuttal, and then they're like, well,
there are no stronger comps.
That type of thing. But you would think, though, there possibly are stronger comps because the values have been pushed.
Everybody's waiving the appraisal and buying these houses at a top dollar. So those are now comps.
So they can
But not until
up.
Closing is the problem. I think they need to soften that and say, can you send me a copy of a signed agreement where they're paying cash? And I know it's not closing for a month and be able to use that. I wish they could do that.
And I think it's important that everything get recorded and reported. I don't know the proper term. On the MLS or on whatever site, because the appraiser, that's what they're using.
Right.
So if these comps close and nobody knows about it,
right? Because they're selling off market.
Yeah, and there's no true comps to use, right? And so it's important to get that information. So for those that don't know, the appraiser has to use comparables previous to the time he or she puts his toes on the ground at that location. So, I'm seeing new construction houses because the cost of lumber and cost of build has gone up. New construction homes from very well-known builders coming in $40,000 less. Not once. One appraisal down, second appraisal down, right?
Wow.
And I called, I'm like, oh, maybe it's your mortgage company. So I get involved and I do a third appraisal.
A third?
Down, right?
Wow.
So still 40 down. And the appraiser says to me, Carey Ann, the same type of build, the look and feel of that home has not sold yet. Now, whether somebody wants to put the first foot in and pay cash and pay the difference, somebody's going to have to start, that storyline, right? And so it was a situation where you cannot use that comp, even though you have pre-sales. You can't use them unless they close, right? Wow. And so that makes it really difficult. And this lady never expected to bring in $40,000 more to the closing table. So the builder, I think, worked out a deal where they took $10,000 off or something like that. But you're buying houses that technically in quotations are not worth it, right? But what do we do?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And lumber, I get it. I just, had a small project where I was building this outdoor table, and one piece of board cost me $40.
Wow.
It was crazy.
It's gone up 500%.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Some builders are not even given a firm price.
Yeah.
But that gap there, if you're not paying cash or can't pick up the difference, I don't know what those people are going to do.
Well,
I don't know what they're going to do.
I had another client, fully approved. She's so excited. You see this couple, they just got married, so they're just super excited about buying their first home. And it's that 260 range, right? And they get a letter. It's a contract. It's signed and sealed. They get a letter not even 2-3 months into it that says, we're so grateful that you picked us to build your home, but at this moment we have to cease all production because the cost to build is too high for us to continue moving forward. We will move forward if you'd like to give us $66,000 more.
No way.
They don't have $66,000 more.
Oh my goodness.
Talk about scary time, because that's that couple that you and I know. We see that same couple over and over and over again, that they're so excited to kickstart, and the world is just different right now.
Yeah.
So
this morning I was reading an article with Inman. Jason, you might have read this as well, about what's going on here.
Oh, yeah.
What is happening. I know one of the things was they blamed on COVID because so many industries stopped last year. They stopped working. They couldn't find workers. Initially, I think we had problems getting cabinets to new construction, but now it's really even the lumber mills are way off. They stopped because they anticipated, okay, construction's really going to halt here for a while until we get our bearings, or maybe a year or two, and then they made a really poor judgment there where they're so far behind in so many ways. And then I'll try to stay not political, guys, but then there's these people start getting these checks in the mail and they stop going to work, and it's only made it that much harder for small business people to continue on because of these, what do they call them, checks? These $1,400 ones.
Stimulus
checks.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's anti-stimulus, I think, is what's happening, because people they've lost a lot of their workforce because of the they can make more unemployment.
Sure, but a lot of people out there, are using their stimulus in good methods. We're seeing that for down payment purposes and different things like that. So it's helping them, because you do want to try to move somebody from 100% financing to a little bit of money down. So if they can take the stimulus and maybe use the borrower smart, and do a 3% conventional, type of loan, at least we've got some, skin in the game, and we're moving, and turning some heads from a seller standpoint. But it does get back to the situation where, is that house going to price? So what I would say is to communicate to the lender. We're clueless. We have an address. We don't know anything. We don't know if that is a manufactured home, a single family home, a condo. Like, the more you share with us, because we're blinded, is so important. Also share that, hey, it would probably be best served that you do a full appraisal versus a desktop and or a drive-by. And the reason why we do those types of things is because it speeds the process up. Now, I picked up 10 loans last week that were all denied, which that's scary, at the last minute, and coming to me and saying, will you do some magic dusting thing you do and fix it, right? But it's the questions asking immediately. Do you think the house is going to price? Do you have a concern on the value? Because I'm able to speed this process up, but I'm going to have to use a workaround, which is a desktop appraisal, which means the appraiser doesn't see the home. They just look at numbers, on a screen. And she said most likely it's going to come in short anyway. She already did her homework. So she already prepped me, so there's no concern when it does come in possibly, short.
Right.
But other people, it comes in low, and then they're upset or frustrated, and then the deal falls apart. I don't know how the deal's falling apart. Everybody knew it was going to be low, right, from day one.
Yeah, that's what's troubling with me being around this thing for so long. Is this is not a healthy market, and that's really concerning me. I know that people are coming here and they're paying, but they're pricing the average buyer out of the market. If they don't have that wad of cash to pay for the house, or the difference to make up for it, I don't know what the solution is. I mean, I'm seeing, and I love Ribbon Homes. They're awesome. We're big advocates of Ribbon. But even the market is going beyond what they can do. Right. Even with their guarantee, we're not talking $5,000. I mean, Connie and I just made an offer on a house for $54,000 more than what it could possibly appraise for. But, when you start looking at rentals, and I'm doing exactly what I said I wouldn't do, and that was, my intention, just going to say it, my intention was to capitalize on the market myself as a seller, make an extra couple $100,000 on a home that I don't need, move into a rental for a couple of years, and when it settles back down, then take advantage of a great opportunity. That was my intention. But there's no rentals, and we're going to spend $3,000 or $4,000 on a rental. It's like, okay, with the rates like they are, and with an amazing mortgage professional, we can buy a house for $600, and the payment would be less than $3,000, and we can own that property and maybe make it a rental someday or whatever. But it doesn't make sense now to be a renter. And now I'm going to hand somebody who I can't get a response from way more than what the home is worth. And that just Connie's like, I'm sorry, sweetheart. I don't know what else to say. How high should we go here? The home's on the market for $580. We've offered $635, and then this morning we said let's go up another $10,000, so we're offering $645 for a house that's worth $580 on a good day. And now that profit which we're counting on from our house, we're spending imagined equity, which I tell people don't ever spend imagined equity because it's only happening in your mind, But anyhow, we're caught in that whole thing, but we need to size down anyhow. But so like this morning, I just found out the home behind us sold for a whole nother high for the neighborhood. Nothing had sold for that high in our neighborhood ever in the history of that of that 35-year-old neighborhood. And here we are hitting new heights. So anyway.
Well, I think it's just going to take some time for it to balance out, and then the comps will be there. But things to take away, today are to make sure that if you do sell a home that is overpriced, make sure it's in some sort of system so appraisers can see it. Also, if you know that you're banking on a specific comp that is going to close, that has to close before the appraisal's done. Now, we don't know that you're banking on that comp, right? So it's important that you call the lender and communicate, hey, pause on the appraisal appraisal until blank because, you want to make sure that the house does, appraise. Now, it does seem crazy that a week later the house could go up $10,000, but it is numbers. It's the formulas, right?
I mean, it's pivoting that quickly.
Yeah. So, and again, for a customer, $10,000 is a lot of money. You and I can do a lot with $10,000.
Right.
So to finance that in and stretch it over 30 years makes so much more sense for them having to bring it, in a cash form. And then also communicate on the upfront to make sure you know exactly what you're working with the customer from not only a mortgage standpoint, but a cash flow standpoint. Like how much money, liquid cash do we have to work with? Because not everybody has all this money that we're talking about, unless possibly they're coming and selling something. There's not a lot of money just hanging out ready to just be dropped, even though so many people are. I just don't know where it's coming from. It's just coming off the trees or something.
We said that recently. In my career, I'm average might have seen a cash deal maybe out of 1 out of 100. Now it's like every other deal is cash.
Oh yeah.
I don't know where the cash is coming from. Other than California.
Yeah. Or different states. And it's interesting. I was talking to some other folks from different states and they're like, everybody's moving here. And they're not even talking about Tennessee, right? So, I mean, so many people are moving so many different places. And this situation where low inventory and, the value is lower than what people want to pay or all over, the United States. But just another couple things. FHA appraisals are stuck for 6 months. So that seller is stuck with that. Again, I know a lot of people are kind of going away from the FHA just because of that situation. But conventional appraisals, let's say you did one with a lender, you can do a rebuttal. And so the appraiser then can relook at it. Now, what's interesting is these appraisals are read through a computer system. So Fannie and Freddie already know what that appraisal is on day one. It's not like you can hide it or put it underneath something, okay? So the situation that stands is that it's really sometimes hard for the lender that you're working with to get a second or third appraisal, right? So going to another lender sometimes is, the magic touch there, but not always, because again, Fannie and Freddie have already seen that particular appraisal listed on that home. And again, an appraisal is just an opinion of one, right? So and it's hard to become an appraiser. You're not going to find people just jumping in that industry. You have to be.
It's a lot of work for what they get.
So much work. And then also note that the cost of appraisals are going up. Like a lot, and and I don't have control over that. I'm out, right? And so we need to keep that in mind as well. And then the turn times, right? They're very overwhelmed. As much as there's not a lot of houses to sell, that they're doing a lot of appraisals. So we just want to keep all of that in mind too. So
one of the main things, and I think you'll agree with this, Jason, is that we got to manage the expectations for their clients.
Always.
You got to, and more than ever before, saying, "Look, guys, I'm sorry. It is what it is. It ain't fun out there right now. You've got to be ready to move. You can't wait till this weekend. You can't go home and think about it. You've got to be ready to move quickly." And I love your statement. You always ask somebody before you submit that offer about value. What is it you say? Are you okay?
Oh yeah. So if you're, when they ask you if they, how much should we offer, and we always want them to understand, like, well, if this is the house, do you really want this house? Yes. Okay. At what point are you okay losing the house? At what price point are you okay walking away from it if you don't win it? And
that's really important. That's gold right there, because you're managing the expectations, and they're not going to look to you as, why didn't you tell me to offer more?
Right.
Because that's the key. How high are you willing to go and feel okay if you don't get it?
Right.
Yeah, and again, I hate to have my heart broken. So if I don't see it, I wouldn't want it. So prepare your clients, right? A lot of people are just so fast to get stuff done, and like they don't have the money yet for even their closing costs, and then they're saying, "Hey, what are they going to do with their closing costs?" I don't know. You just called 30 minutes ago. Like, you know what I'm saying? We haven't had a moment to even breathe to have that discussion, right? So pausing and slowing down. And I know that's super hard to do that because, the market's it's going so fast. Well, you don't really have a deal if they don't have the cash to be able to do it. And if they're not prepared, that's one of those deals.
So what if you want it, if you can't follow through, right?
Yeah. I mean, then you're really breaking hearts at that point, right? So I don't want you to show me anything until I'm prepared, and then let's go. Let's rock and roll, type of thing. So.
Well, thank you, Carey Ann. Thank you, Jason, for, again, managing expectations and hanging in on this market here. I don't see it slowing down because there's such an inertia coming here, although I know it's got to sometime. Yeah. Are we at the top yet? I don't know. I thought we were a month ago.
Yeah.
And it keeps on going.
Keeps on keeping on.
Keeps on keeping on.
So good having you guys with us this week. We will see you back next. You've been listening to the Talk of Music City Real Estate.